The consequences of having a very large head is having an everlasting long memory. I remember a lot of things from my youth and my teen years, but especially in the context of this video, my adult years. I remember a certain organization known as BLM, Black Lives Matter, and I remember them facing some significant strides in the years 2019, 2020, 2021, and even a little bit in 2022. And I remember people galvanizing the troops to protest, march in the street to get the message out that Black Lives Matter. Only in certain scenarios, because if a white cop isn't killing you or if a white woman isn't accusing you of something, damn, your life just really don't matter as much as the next man. But you know what? That's what we call tiers in black society. Your level of mattering is based off of who's killing you and what job they have. So just make sure that we all get that right. And I remember all these protests that led to absolutely nothing changing, nothing being done, nothing being solved, and a lot of money not going to the black community. So you could imagine my shock and awe when I'm seeing a BLM leader or executive of the organization talking about a bunch of anti-Trump protests and how they're nothing more than performative.
I think that the Democrats are experts at taking advantage of the most vulnerable and weak-minded people in society. I was there and I did it. At one time, and then when they're done with you, you're no longer, they don't have any use for you. You become disposable, and they're doing the same thing. They did it with the black people, and they did it with the immigrants, illegal immigrants. They do it with LGBTQ, and so the protests, the last thing they want to do is give you something that's going to help you, but they allowed Black Lives Matter to protest because they know we needed an outlet somehow or some way, but they never met any of the demands. They never gave us anything. It was bait and switch. They never kept any of their promises, and that's what they're good for. But these protests, they're all performative. In my state, in Rhode Island, it was maybe a couple dozen people out, with some signs and stuff. And, I think it's interesting, to me, it smells of the George Soros playbook, and I'm not going to mention any names, but, this is kind of the playbook. And it's interesting to me, the day of the protest that was scheduled by online demonstrators for the 5th and the 17th, I think. A couple of days before that, they had the scheduled a protest for illegal immigration in several strategic cities across the country. So this is just them, being, sore losers and sour grapes.
Sir, I would just like to say that you are exhibiting what is known as right message, wrong messenger, because I do believe that all of these protests going on will lead to nothing.
So send me, get the send me Can you hold that so I can go live? Oh, thank you.
Sorry. Oh, don't take my picture. I'm not working. I snuck out.
Oh, there she is.
It will lead to no significant change. Why? Because the House, the Senate, and all these other things are run by a bunch of Republicans. So unless there's somebody in there that's willing to say nay and nix a bunch of the things that are going on right now from President Trump, these protests lead to nothing. A lot of them are just a bunch of people who don't want to go to work or school. And you know what? Fine. Take your random day off. And it's all a bunch of people performing, especially on social media. But sir, I need you to understand that the call is coming coming from inside the house. You are one of the last people to get on TV, whether local or national news, and say anything close to this. And I understand that this man has a track record of being someone who's a little bit outspoken in the opposite direction of his organization.
You, BLM leader, and you're now endorsing Donald Trump, saying he's the best candidate we have. Why do you think he is the best candidate that we have?
Because everybody else sucks.
So is he just the best of a bad group? I mean, is he not that great either, but he's just like better than the rest?
Well, I like Trump, personally. And I think right now who we have sitting in the Oval Office is just a deep disappointment. I deeply have disdain for him, and I really dislike the vice president as well.
What is it that why do you not like them versus like Donald Trump? I would imagine you're alone in this. Do you feel alone in this viewpoint in the world that you're in, being in the BLM movement?
No, I feel like the tide is starting to turn. I feel like
really?
A lot of Black people are starting to pivot off of that Democratic plantation for so long. We've been slaves to that party. Actually, we've been mental slaves, afraid to get off of that plantation because, we've been used and abused for so long by that party. They don't value our vote. Their policies are basically racist policies. And I believe it's a racist party that strikes at the heart of the Black family and the nuclear family in general. And I believe Donald Trump he's the opposite. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to give it to you straight. He's not going to, be a hypocrite and stab you in the back like the Democratic Party loves to do.
And maybe you could think to yourself that this man is trying to lead a new version of BLM and Black Lives Mattering, but I just want you all to know that there's only one other variation of BLM, and it's Bring Leon Money, because I'll be damned if we running around thinking that we're supposed to measure lives mattering based on what skin color is killing them, because that shit just never made no sense. Your entire movement was based around a bunch of performative actions, such as burning down stores, robbing stores, and thinking that you could call anybody a racist randomly. Oh, and a bunch of random people thinking that it's perfectly fine to just segregate for the fuck of it because damned if you learn from history, we're all doomed to repeat it anyway. So, sir, I would just like for you to know that while you're gonna sit there and call other people's actions performative, that is the pot calling the kettle black, and your organization is nothing more than a performative fucking stunt to make sure that people pull on the heartstrings and give money to solve an issue that'll never be solved, because if you notice, there's still Black people dying. There's people who don't give a fuck that those Black lives died. Why? Because the narrative of white guy being in the wrong hasn't really stuck as much as it did in 2020, and that hasn't really gotten you enough traction. Why? Because people now recognize BLM is nothing more than a money-hungry scheme that props up only a select handful of dead bodies to actually get a bunch of people to pay attention to them. And that is the sick part of it all. And I would make the argument that that is a little, what's the word? Oh, performative. Performing for who? A bunch of silly ass white people who think, oh my God, I'm sorry that my skin color did this to you, even though I did nothing of the sort because I live miles away in a completely different state on the other side of the country. Oh my God, how can I help defeat racism? Maybe I'll take a class. Maybe I'll marry a Black woman. Maybe I'll marry a Black man. Maybe I'll adopt some Black children. Maybe I'll just get on my hands and knees and suck a Black dick because that's going to help me. You achieve nothing by doing this, and I can't wait for the inevitable future of BLM trying to get some traction again, and people pull your clips up and pull up all the evidence of a bunch of money not going to the Black community and instead going to a bunch of mansions and say, fuck y'all. We not helping y'all with shit because you sitting there demeaning us for what we're doing. And that'll further stroke the ego of me, who correctly predicted when a bunch of minority groups start pointing a finger, nobody wins but the fucking white guy who's overseeing all of it, and they're using their evil white supremacy to separate you all because you're all brain dead. And I would just like to say, to end this video on any measure of a note, that you can protest if you are very upset about things. And yes, if you don't actually have some substance behind it, it's going to be viewed as performative. It's going to be viewed as you wanting attention. If there is no significant change brought out from your protest, it's gonna seem like it's absolutely nothing. If you're not willing to actually commit to any type of change, and you're just wanting to go outside and hold up a sign and say, blah, 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 then you're achieving nothing but wasting your own time, because there have been significant protests throughout history that have led to some change in the world. But nowadays, it's nothing more than let's do something for TikTok. Let's do something for some Instagram likes. Let's do something for Facebook messages. Let's do something so that we could get the word out about how we feel, and then we go home and then we just wait on our hands and knees, maybe blow a little bit of incense and hoping that, hey, everything's gonna change the way we want it to. And the fact that a fucking man could stand up here being a part of an organization that didn't do shit for the fucking black community except waste everybody's time pisses me off to my high ends. I do not care too much about his messaging and how good it is because, yes, Trump won and how dare a bunch of people disrespect him. This is a con artist who's trying real hard to get in the good graces of a bunch of people, knowing full well when the moment presents itself, he'll be parading around more dead black people so that he could try to get some money out of a bunch of suckers. I recommend everybody keep their eagle eyes locked on this motherfucker, because me thinks someday soon he's gonna be talking about how bad the white man truly is. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Goodbye. I hate activists.